Welcome to Mom Boss Chronicles, the show that celebrates the incredible journey of mom bosses who are conquering the world of business and motherhood. We are your hosts, Jen,
Danielle, and Sue.
Make sure to like and subscribe and share with your mom friends today. Welcome back, everyone, to Mom Boss Chronicles. Today we have a really special guest, Jamie Hanley. She is a licensed counselor and also an author of a new book that's going to be coming out. It's a workshop or a workbook. It's called It's Just a Phase, the Anxious Goddess Tool for Making Mental Health Magic, which sounds amazing.
It's like a workshop in a book.
I can't wait to buy
Yeah,
this.
same.
It's very hands-on.
That's
it's
amazing.
Like you dig in and investigate all about yourself.
Which is
and
what
it's
we,
beautiful.
yes.
Just, makes it more.
And we were just talking, May is Women's Health Month, and May 5th to the 11th is Maternal Mental Health Awareness. So I feel like what a great time of the year to bring up this topic.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here and, sharing your story and your book with us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I appreciate you all.
I can't wait to. I love a good workbook. I really do. And
This
something-
is going to be great. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's inspired by a few different things, my own personal experiences and the things that really worked for me. And then, of course, all the things that I've used working with all the moms and parents and clients over the years. A bunch of different skills, creativity, coloring was a big part of what helped me and a lot of the moms that I was in the trenches with during my PMAT experience.
Yeah.
And just have something for ourselves. So that's incorporated in the back. And it also incorporates, I was telling you earlier about cycles and how we can actually pay attention to our cycles and nature's cycles to accommodate for our body's unique needs.
Which I feel like we don't do at all. Like, I don't think we give it any thought that, obviously we change daily and,
We're just always trying to operate like we're consistent and have the same amount
Linear,
of energy.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
like robotic.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But us women, we go through so many changes. Daily, right? Our hormones change. We start with different hormones at the start of the day that deplete by the end of the day, or start with differing in the beginning of your cycle, the end of your cycle, and where is the moon in the sky, and which way is the Earth tilting?
Yeah.
Yep.
All of that is
Yes,
in here.
right.
I love
know.
that.
That's such a level of self-awareness that, you're bringing that to the forefront, which I'm like, I can't.
Which
wait to
nobody
dive
really
into that.
talks about or
Yes.
discusses. So that's amazing. So did you start out being a counselor like you always wanted to do that? And
No, I actually started my career in the beauty industry.
wow.
Totally
Yeah.
different, like marketing and PR there. And it didn't work out because I'm very socially awkward and anxious. And I had to schmooze with a lot of beauty editors, and I was really, really uncomfortable. And over time, I figured out this is not the place for me.
You felt it. You're like this.
Yeah. It's like, this is, this isn't working for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And I don't think I had the insight then when I reflect back now, having been through graduate school for mental health counseling. But when I look back to that young woman who was trying to figure out New York City and why was she so overstimulated and anxious?
Yeah. And forcing it.
Right. I did not like being in New York all the time. I did not feel comfortable schmoozing with people who I didn't actually really know. It was just a lot. So I ended up going from that into, I was taking a yoga teacher training at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I went into opening a yoga studio business. And I started working with people who had mental health issues and wanted to implement yoga practices to improve their mental health.
That's awesome. By moving their body.
Yes, exactly. So we really started there and then found that I really needed to continue my education. And I went back to Monmouth University or local university for graduate school. Yeah. So then I was kind of parallel doing, the studio and the and graduate school and counseling hours because we have to get our hours for licensing and all this stuff.
A lot, right?
Yeah. Had always had 2 or 3 jobs, and then in there I also had 2 kids.
Wow. In the middle of all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot.
This is what us moms do. We're just bring it on.
Keep adding it to my plate.
Yeah.
I seriously have this visual in my head, every time this conversation comes up about moms, of a mom standing in a ball pit and just all the balls being chucked at her.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, it's
That's
how it
perfect.
feels.
And there's a dirty
sometimes.
diaper somewhere in there too.
Yeah. And you have to look good. And you have to do it with a smile.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And not complain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. America Ferrer's whole speech in Barbie.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
true.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you had your daughter, was that a concern for you? When you were pregnant, were you thinking about your mental health?
You know what's wild is that I went through graduate school, and the only time I heard about postpartum depression in like 2011 was when I chose to do a report on a friend who'd experienced it with her first child.
Wow. So not at all?
Nothing.
That's crazy.
Nothing.
That kind of breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really wasn't much. Another specialization I have is eating disorders and body image. And there wasn't really any kind of intense training in that either. When it comes to these specialized areas as a counselor, you're really expected to go out and get that specialized training and then like work in that setting to have the experience. Graduate school doesn't necessarily get that.
Or prepare you for all of that. Yeah.
Prepare you for every single specialization.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that, you know, it was just not on the radar either. I hope that they're talking about it a lot more now. I think they probably are.
It almost feels, and I feel like I bring this up way too much, but disorders or specializations pertaining to women are not part of that generalization at first, right? Like
Right.
postpartum, I think, should be at the top.
I know.
Like almost the top of the list, right? But
There's so many moms out there who need help, and
Right.
it's just crazy that there's not training that
Yeah.
they're giving.
right.
Yeah, it's not like a standard training.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which just shows how like the lack of conversation we have about it as a culture then, right?
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's better. Hopefully they've amended that.
I know. I'll go check with the people I know there
Yeah.
and see. Have you put it in? If not, I'll come and speak on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after I graduated, I got pregnant right at the end of graduate school.
Wow.
So you're finished, you're like, and then wow, we're having a baby.
Yeah, exactly. So grad school's done, have a baby. And so I did have intrusive thoughts with my daughter. And all parents experience intrusive thoughts. I'm sure everybody here's had them from time to time. It's like a adaptive survival response, trying to get us to be aware of things. But some people have them a lot more than others, and they're very distressing, and they can cause people to like avoid doing certain things. And with my daughter, I just had a couple. Like there were just certain ones.
And did you notice anything would trigger you? Like,
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it on here because I don't want to
That's
trigger
okay.
anybody
Yeah.
who's listening.
Yeah.
But there are certain patterns with intrusive thoughts that are very, very typical. Like there's, you know, just like a visual. It's like you see the movie in your head of something scary happening to the baby, and there are just very typical ones in certain places in the house and. Like themes, like people get scared of water, people get scared of certain objects. So
Stairs.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That was for
Water,
me.
stairs.
yeah,
Yes,
the stairs too.
The stairs were for me with
Thinking
my
about
son.
falling. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did.
And it happened.
I mean,
You're not alone.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah.
you know, I slid down and but I was having those visuals much before that.
So did you get help with your daughter? Did you feel like
I did not get help with my daughter, and it's really, I look back at it and I'm like, I did what a lot of moms do. Even with my graduate degree, I was afraid to tell my therapist that I was having scary thoughts of something bad happening to my baby because I was afraid she'd call DCP&P, which is the furthest thing from the truth.
Right.
But just that fear, like if I speak up, something bad's going to happen, so I'm not going to say anything.
Or everyone's
Right.
going to think I'm a bad mom.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
wrong
Right.
with me?
Yeah.
Like there's so much shame associated
There
with it,
is,
which
yeah.
is terrible.
So much shame. And like literally everybody has intrusive thoughts. Like once you say what it is, everybody's like, oh yeah, that happens. Sometimes I have a weird thought. Like it's
Right.
weird.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
But
And it's crazy that we don't talk about
we
it.
don't talk about it, and they become for most people they don't become distressing. But as a mom, it like hooks into our nervous system. It becomes distressing.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell my therapist, and eventually they went away. Usually, people feel better like in about a year to 18 months with treatment. They'll get better over time without treatment as well. So
Yeah.
I did not get any PMAD-specific treatment that first time. I was just in therapy, doing my thing, living
Yeah.
my life, and just trying to adapt to being a mom.
Yeah. Kept working
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. And then with my second, you know, how when you all are realtors, how many pregnant people do you help find houses?
Yeah.
I mean, that the second you know you're having number
Nesting
two,
phase is
Yes.
real. You're
Yep.
like, okay,
Time
I need a new nest.
Pictures?
Yeah.
Yes.
I need a basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that happened, and okay, awesome. We got our, perfect size house for us. It's right around the corner. It's great. The week after we move in, my husband got laid off.
And you're pregnant.
I'm 6 months pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have a child.
And I already had a 3-year-old in daycare.
Oh my gosh.
I had a part-time job at a mental health facility, and I was running my yoga studio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about
So
stress.
that was just like boom.
Wow.
And my midwife was like, there's this program at Monmouth Medical
Yes.
Center. You should go meet
best.
Lisa over there. And
Lisa.
we love them. And I actually ended up working there eventually.
That's amazing.
You work there now?
Oh, no, I did. I
okay.
haven't in years, but I did at the beginning of my foray into this field, this part of the field.
I'm so happy
Yeah.
your midwife noticed that.
Yes. Well, I told her I threw a crystal at the windshield and I broke it.
Oh no.
Good for you for being honest, though. Like, I'm so proud
Yeah.
of you for speaking up. Like, how are you? I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had on a crystal necklace that's like, supposed to be for protection and
Yes,
whatever.
yeah.
Right.
It fell off into my cleavage. I took it out. I chucked it across the car. It hit the windshield and broke the windshield on my way to work.
Yeah.
geez.
More
At a
stress.
mental health
Like
facility.
literally add insult to injury, you know.
It's like, great. Now I got to have my front windshield replaced
Yep.
on top of everything.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But that's how you were feeling. You were just
Yeah.
like at the
like you're human.
end
We're
of your
human.
rope. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you throw a crystal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes they break.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes they break stuff.
I think about this all the time when I see new moms or pregnant moms with their first baby. Like, I have a couple pregnant friends right now, and I'm like, oh, they just have no idea what. And you want to say something, but you don't want to be like
you don't
this
know how
doom
to,
and
right?
gloom
Yes.
when they're excited about having a baby. But it's like, hey, you might feel this way. You can talk to me. You can
Yeah.
tell anyone. Like, don't be afraid to say
Yeah.
something, because it's just not like these rainbows and butterflies like everyone thinks at first. It's like
And
this
the thing-
shock.
And I think what is hard to have that conversation with people, it hits everyone different. So you don't know how to have that conversation because you're like, I don't know if you're going to be the depressed type, the anxious type. Like,
Right. But chances are you're not going to be like,
Feel
oh
like
my
yourself.
God, this is amazing.
Yeah,
You're
you're right.
not going to feel like yourself. It's
No.
just not even
No.
like
No.
physiologically
Yeah.
possible.
No, you feel like you've been run over. And
Yeah.
Right.
you have a lot of recovering to do, and yet no one asks how you're doing.
Yeah.
They're just asking about the baby.
yes. It's all the focus on how's the baby? Is he growing and sleeping? And
Yeah, it's
like, how is mom
terrible.
doing?
And it's like,
Right.
no, of course it's not sleeping. So how do you
Right.
think we're
And
doing?
I'm emotional. Yeah.
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 So with your son, after delivering for him, like, was that tough? Like, You're-
So I kind of made my way through those last few months, and he came, and my husband got a job, like literally started the week after.
wow.
So that was a big
Good.
relief.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because in the time that he was laid off, he just made it his job to find himself a job. So
Yeah.
in 3 months, he
That's
found
great.
something.
3
Yeah.
months, yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good. It wasn't the best job, but he learned a lot.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
But so that pressure was lifted, but it's still kind of, the anxiety was there.
Yeah.
Like, and when we say, like, for so long it was referred to as postpartum depression.
Yes.
But anxiety is really a much more prominent and
Right.
prevalent
That's what hit
symptom.
me.
Yeah.
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 And I didn't know that was postpartum depression. I was like, well, I'm just being anxious. I don't
Well,
think
it's
I have
postpartum anxiety.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or postpartum OCD or
Right.
postpartum PTSD. Like, when you think of all of the different types of diagnoses that people have, or the things that they might experience during the process of pregnancy and childbirth and the year after, it's sort of like, well, that period is so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between our body changes, our hormone changes, our whole, like, world changes.
Our ego, like, everything.
Yep.
Our ego, because I also find, and I found this for myself, that it is the first time we wake up to the disparities between genders.
That is 100% true. Yep.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Didn't even
Yeah.
think about that.
Oh, yeah. It's when you realize, like, oh, I shouldn't say he, but the non-birthing parent
Is sleeping.
is sleeping or
right.
just, like, going to the gym and going to work.
Yeah.
And, like, yes, great that you are providing, However, we in 2024 need like equal partnership in the home, and that doesn't necessarily get quantified as money, but more so as time.
And sanity.
Yeah.
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 It's a big one.
Because I feel like for women, they have a hard time speaking up. Like, I do need an hour by myself, or feeling that guilt, or I do need this time alone. And so they don't say anything, and then they just build that resentment.
Yeah. My husband slept in a whole other room for like
Wow.
the first 4 months, which made me want to kill him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, you guys get up and you're breastfeeding. I'm like, yeah, but you could also get up
Help
too
me,
and
yeah.
make a bottle. Well,
Or change
I
a
don't-
diaper.
But I don't hear him. And that's the annoying thing too. I wish we had the ability to sleep through a crying
Oh, right.
baby like a man does.
Yeah.
Imagine.
There is that part of me where, like, my husband, he has to get up at like 5 for work, and I'll wake up like the drop of a pin. I wake up, so I would, even if he got up, I would be up regardless. So,
Right.
and I breastfed, so I was like, whatever, I'm just
Yeah.
I'm roll over and feed this kid. But yeah, that's part of it. If he was breastfeeding, he'd be the one doing
Right.
it, but he can't. So
And the amount of labor that goes into breastfeeding, the amount of time, the pumping. I was driving around, like part of my job at the place I used to work was like marketing them also, because that was my first job or whatever. So I was driving between like talking about this facility, running around with the pump on and like a poncho over me in the car.
Yeah. I've done it too between showings. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
it's like a mental thing I think you do to yourself. Like, I have to do this, instead of like being like, wait, what am I doing? And like, yeah,
Like this means I'm doing what I can for my
Yeah.
child, and meanwhile you're like depleting yourself.
yeah.
You know.
yeah. After having your 2 kids, is that when you focus more on the mental health like aspect of your career?
Well, I was already a counselor and I had specialized in working in eating disorders. And then when I had the experience with my son and I ended up going to get help at Mom's Medical Center, and then I was like, I really want to work here. And I harassed them to let me work there. And they were like, yes, because, the people who work there, most of them have gone through it or had a loved one go through it. And like, you know that, like, you know when you see another mom, like
Yeah.
I was looking at a picture of a new mom on Facebook and I was like, yeah, it's not okay.
You can just see it in the eyes, right?
Yes, you can see it. So, yeah, after my son and I went through that, and I worked at Mama's Medical for a while, and then my private practice got really busy, so I ended up leaving them and like just being in private practice. But now I actually work for an employee assistance company, which is a fantastic way for people to access mental health care. And I still work with tons of parents through it, but through the companies that people work for, there is a benefit that that company then contracts with
That's
my
great.
company.
That's amazing.
And then they
Did
like
that blow
search
up
me up.
after COVID.
They've been around a while,
Yeah.
but they definitely are growing a lot after
Yeah.
COVID, and everybody went virtual.
Right.
So
Right.
like the fact that we were allowed to do that completely changed the landscape.
Yeah,
like
that's
great.
Could reach more people.
oh my gosh, I can see
Yeah.
anybody as long as they're in New Jersey. People can get licensed elsewhere and expand. So it is really great, definitely, as far as access goes.
One step in the right
That
direction.
was like
For sure.
So my husband passed away 4 years ago, and being stoic, I'm like, I got this, no big deal. But by the time summer came around, I was like struggle bus, right, big time, and I didn't realize we had an employee assistance program because God forbid HR mentioned that to me.
like
It was
reached out, like, do you need
People
help?
don't know.
Yeah.
at
you know,
all.
or maybe there was, maybe I don't think they did. I feel like I would have, anyway. Someone was like, hey, did you know that there was no, it didn't. Anyway, reached out, but that, who I started speaking to through that program literally was like, thank God for him. He got that process started, in a place where you feel such despair.
Yeah.
And you're in a dark place, and he's like, this is what we're going to do. And this is what you need to do. Go, just to be told what to do. And it was great. Really great program.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you had a positive experience. with that.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people since then too, having that ability to access help, especially through, I appreciated that, the therapists that I did end up seeing for quite some time, and then also bereavement groups that I joined were on Zoom, especially for those beginning grieving months when you're just like,
I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah, I don't want to leave the house. And
You
like,
don't have
and I
to
was
then.
I was at home with a 1 or 2 year old, at that time. It's like, who has an extra 20 minutes to
Right.
drive to, a doctor's office? So Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's opening access for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
huge.
And then that's, it's the availability.
Yep. Definitely with the parents, I think the remote, to be able to have therapy session while your baby's napping,
Yes.
or not have to drive somewhere because you don't want to have to slip the kids. Like,
Yep.
it makes a world of
Get a
difference.
sitter. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Makes life so much easier. That's great.
So when does your book come out?
It comes out next month, hopefully the beginning of June. We're just putting the finishing touches on it, but
I know like some like techniques that I had read that you were talking about. Like, does it cover in the book? Like, one of them was like the cold therapy, right?
Yeah. So one of my favorite hacks is temperature input. So if you feel very dysregulated, like you're, really upset, you could,
Crazy day.
you're crying, you're angry, whatever. The emotions are out of control. You want to find something with intense temperature to hold, like an ice cube, an ice pack, take a cold shower. When it's cold outside, just go outside and take a deep breath of cold air. And that helps down-regulate the nervous system if you can be mindful of that temperature input. During COVID, when I was home with my kiddos and they were just like driving me bananas, I would just like go in the bathroom for a minute and run my hands under the coldest water possible and just breathe and feel the cold to just come back down.
And that helped?
Yeah, from
That's
the
awesome.
the activation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I highly recommend like orange in your freezer. Put an orange in your freezer, because if you get that out when you're upset and you squeeze it like a stress ball, squeeze your fingernails into it, smell the orange like essential oil fragrance. There's so much sensory input with the texture and the temperature and the smell. And the sensory input is what helps calm our nervous system and bring us into the present moment to realize that, like, this isn't a life-threatening thing that we, just got cut off on the parkway or something.
Yeah.
Every mom needs oranges then in their freezer.
Yes.
Oh, like today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Highly recommend.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And do you find that, like, maternal mental health, like, even though your child might be older, like, it still affects you, right? No matter how old your kids are.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, it's not just the newborn phase or the toddler phase. Like,
It's
you could
just
still have
continuous.
issues.
Just different issues,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah.
matter what.
I was just saying this the other day. My kids have just been particularly difficult lately, and I'm like, they are just driving me insane. I need a break, And they're almost 3 and 8.5. So it's
Like, yeah, no matter what age, you still get overwhelmed. Yeah, stressed out.
Michael splash water all over, like taking a bath, and in my brain I'm just like, fuck. I'm like, why are you making more work for me?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's just having fun.
Right,
Right.
like, and
I
that's
know.
and it's so hard, right? Like you're like, everyone's different, but it's like I'm up to here, but it's right. He's just
Being a
using his
child.
imagination,
Yes.
being
Yeah.
a child,
And- yeah.
And it's like, of course, he's not thinking about mom having to do more work.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I find that I'm the most stressed, and I feel so bad for my kids. It's like when work is like might be a little tense or something's driving me crazy, and I'm trying to like respond, and then they need me, and then I yell, and I'm like, oh my god, like it wasn't their fault, but like
Yeah.
I'm yelling because I have a lot going on in my head, and you are driving me crazy in this moment.
All right, oranges.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
orange.
cold water,
Oranges,
something
cold
to be
water.
like, whew, all right, I can come back from that. Yeah.
Right. You want to create a space between the trigger and the response so you can be aware and choose how you respond.
And I guess this workbook will help with that.
It will. It will give you
Excited for that.
all sorts of options and tools to try to create that space.
What a great
because-
gift for like moms.
Yeah,
like, to
no,
give
I
to
love
them.
it.
Right?
Yeah.
I should get that
Especially
for my
for new
pregnant
mom.
friends.
Yeah, that is because
Does this come with cards too?
So, for the first 25 people who pre-order the book, they're getting the gift of the card deck included, and then the following 50 are getting the coloring book. 'Cause Of course, there's a coloring book too, because with art like this, you have to have.
Dude, these are the most gorgeous
Yeah,
cards
cool.
I've ever
Can you
seen.
Play with them.
Can you buy these cards too?
Yeah, you can on my website, jamiehanley.com. Right now, they're available for order. You can get them there.
That's awesome. And
Very
these
cool.
cards, like you were saying, you could use them however you needed, right?
Yeah. So if you just like need a mental health check-in and you just want to draw one, this one is one of my favorites.
Oh, boundaries. That's a good one.
I'm not saying
That's
no
so
to
pretty,
you. I'm
too.
saying yes to me.
Yep.
So you could just pull one. You could think about a situation and pull a few for guidance. You can use them with tarot cards to kind of ask yourself, okay, here's the situation. Here's the overview, the challenge, and the outcome. And then what mental health support do I need to get through this situation?
Right.
So I'll do like 3 cards and then 3 underneath.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
I love how you're bringing in like the what's the right word for it? I guess the more holistic,
Spiritual.
spiritual, and then like
The mental,
the medical background of it,
Yeah.
and like bringing the two together, because I think that's the perfect synergy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The original 2 things at once.
Yeah.
If you're a Travis Kelce fan, that I now am, I was doing 2 things at once before he was, because I had yoga and mental health, and now this has kind of evolved into this.
So were you
but-
always drawn to that spiritual world too?
Yeah, I think that having grown up Catholic and experiencing what it was like to be kind of raised in the rigidity of that religion, I veered away from that, as many young adults do, and then I kind of came back to exploring my own spirituality, and then eventually coming back to the parts of Catholicism that I do feel connected to, like, you know, connecting with some of the actual stories of women who, you know, of that time. So I think it all kind of comes back around, but I have a theory that a lot of yoga teachers, and here I'm really going out to left field, maybe you'll be with me on this, but
Probably.
I feel like all the white lady yoga teachers that we have, like were we all the witches that were burned or something? And then we all like found yoga and we're like, oh, this feels like it's meant for me, but really it was that like we were meant for magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
That's interesting.
And women are magic, and I feel like we have to take that word back, because magic's not bad, magic's good.
No.
Yeah.
Look at the magic
not.
we create. We create life.
Well,
That's
it's just because magic
so
intimidated people. Like
Right.
that level of confidence, the level of, like, God forbid women come together and support each other and, like,
create magic.
and create magic. That's very scary.
It's threatening.
It's threatening.
Because we could
you know?
we could take over.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Probably should.
Yeah.
Because there is so much magic in ourselves as a community, which I go back to like the maternal mental health, like how cool that you found that group, Monmouth Medical. Like
Love it.
that's what helped me too, going to support groups,
Yep.
like being around other women and understanding you're not alone. Like there's so much magic and healing in that.
Anytime women come together, there's
Yeah.
magic in that connection.
Yeah, which is beautiful. And I
Absolutely.
Especially when we're vulnerable, because like right now, as we're all sitting around nodding, we're like, yes. And there's somebody else
Yeah.
listening to this who's also in their car nodding
Totally.
and feeling validated.
Yep.
100%.
yeah, and that's what we want to do. Just make everybody realize you're not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so huge knowing that we're all going through it.
And it's crazy because obviously as a mom, some days you're like, oh my God, I'm the best mom. Like, I had the best day ever. And then
Yeah.
the next day you're like, oh my God, I want my old
Yeah.
life back. Like,
Clearly, you're in one phase of your cycle on a good day.
And you're like, wow, I was really crazy.
You're like, just like overly confident.
I'm like, wow, I was pretty mean to everyone in my house.
Yeah.
But like that happens to us. And like,
so
Yeah.
true.
And it's annoying.
I like woke up a different person the other day. I was like, oh, yikes.
Well, I think it's so valuable to pay attention to that for ourselves and the patterns in that, because we weren't taught that
Yep.
in health class as young
No.
women.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, let's just operate as if this doesn't exist and it's not happening.
Yep.
Here's a tampon. Pretend this isn't
I know.
real.
Right.
and go about your day.
and go
and
about-
don't
yeah.
complain
Yeah.
about cramps. Just, Yeah.
Yep.
Or that you're exhausted.
Yeah.
You can hardly function.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosh, between period poverty and girls not having access to products and missing school
That's
because of that,
horrible.
or the fact that kids have to miss school because they're in pain, like it all really
even think about
can
that.
impact. Oh, we could go down.
And
a
I
whole
feel like
other
that's
rabbit hole
when
about
we
that.
started to be quiet about our mental
Right.
health, like our physical. Like
Right.
I remember like not wanting to do gym, but I won't say anything because I want to get in trouble.
Right.
So I'm not going to say anything to anybody. I'm just going to be quiet and never complain.
Well,
And then
how many days do we live through anguish, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're whether you have cramps or you're mentally not feeling well or you're have a headache, like we still operate the same.
you show up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so if you can pay attention to your patterns within your cycle and how it impacts your mood, so you can kind of
So true.
preemptively get ahead of that day where
Yeah.
you wake up a totally different person, how can you adapt your life
Yeah.
to accommodate for that? Because
yeah, then I
we
feel
don't
like-
accommodate for
And
ourselves.
then I feel like then you'd have better grace with yourself. You're like,
Right.
oh, this is a pattern that does happen.
Right.
It's okay. This happened
Right.
before. Calm down. It's
Yeah.
going to resolve. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to talk myself out of like, I feel fat and I'm angry and I'm this. I'm like, it's just temporary.
Have a cup of tea.
Temporary.
Yes. Oh, that one
Sit in
is
the sun for a few, I don't know.
Totally.
I feel like that the fat talk from the 90s coming back is like the red light alarm of PMS. It's like, okay, now I've noticed that one, and I can be like,
Yeah.
we are not 16.
Yeah, it's
It's not 1996.
Yeah.
Yep.
We are okay.
I'm
This
trying
is
to
what
look
this
like Kate
is.
Moss.
No, we're not.
And I guess another question I have for you, are there triggers, or not triggers, I guess when you become a mom, obviously everything changes. Are there things that if you experience, like are you more susceptible to having a harder time with the adaptation of being a mom?
Yeah, I think I know there's a lot of risk factors for perinatal mood and anxiety disorders based on like your history, if you have a history of mental health issues, if there's a history in your family, if there's any kind of insecurity or oppression, if the person's a single parent.
Circumstances, right?
Circumstances, things like moving, things like losing a job. I've loss of a grandparent right around the same time. That happens often, and it's really hard. So there's so many different things that I think people need to be aware of.
Higher risk, yeah.
Because it's like this period of time is a higher risk, and then all the additional things that could make one vulnerable to a mental health episode during this time.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of stigma too, because like what we hear in the news are these terrible stories that are, very extreme of postpartum psychosis. And that's extremely rare. So that's another reason why people don't speak up about these intrusive thoughts is because they're afraid of somebody thinking that they're in psychosis. But a trained professional is going to know if you're in reality or if you're not in reality, and they should be able to assess and tell, because if the thoughts are unwanted and they're not in alignment with who you are and they're causing distress, then you're in reality.
Yeah.
You don't want those
Yes,
thoughts.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Right. And that's, like you said, typically not the case. Typically
It's
people.
so rare.
Right. People usually don't want to hurt their babies when they have postpartum.
Right.
But like you said, if they
thought
do,
is
they're not
scary.
going to take your baby away. They're going to get you the right help and
Right.
get
Skills,
you on the
yeah.
right track. And, Yeah.
Yeah. I think being able to label a thought and knowing that the intrusive thoughts are just thoughts, that if there's any mom out there who's listening to this and hears this and needs to speak up, like that's the language to use. Because when you have a name for it, it's less scary.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think that's awesome. Well, I love that you came on. You told us about your new book. I feel like it's going to help so many.
I love it.
Yeah,
So much.
moms.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to tell everybody about
Right.
it.
Like-
I'm planning on pre-ordering. I
Yes.
want cards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this workshop. My kids are 3 and 8, and I need it. And I think anybody who's a mom needs it. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually hosting a workshop at the Bar Method in Shrewsbury on May 15th. It's a Wednesday night.
Oh, awesome.
If anybody's around,
Yep.
we're going to be playing with cards, choosing cards to make affirmation bracelets.
I love that.
Obviously, I'm a Swiftie. So, like the mantras on the cards will, we'll pick a word and we're going to talk about important things related to women's mental health, like boundaries and creating community. So if you ladies or any of your listeners
I
want to
love
meet
that.
me there, you can have class before or after, and from 5:30 to 6:30 we're going to have a little girl dinner and
I feel like we
hang
need
time
more-
and make
I lo-
magic.
I love that. Like I feel like we need more of that in the community.
Yeah, just
Totally.
hang out. Come hang
I
out.
love
Oh,
that.
and there's no cost. You just bring period products to donate.
Oh my
That's
god.
so cool.
I love that.
That is so cool.
I think the synergy of actually like meeting up in person too is awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
doing an activity with other women and building yourselves up, that is magic too.
I have found anytime I go to any sort of women's focused event afterwards, I feel like my energy is
Yeah.
paramount. I'm like, let's go, we got this.
Yeah.
We can take over the world. And it's just
So
great.
cool.
I love that.
Good.
Yeah, so if this inspires you guys to do more community
Yes.
events with other women around you, I
Yes.
hope it does. 'Cause,
And
like,
let us know.
Yeah.
We'll join.
but I love that. And where can people find you on social media?
They can find me at Jamie Hanley _ JAMIEHANLEY 1_ and jamiehanley.com.
Awesome. And this is where we can get the book, right?
Yep, you can get the book at jamiehanley.com.
It's just a phase.
It's just a face.
I love
So
it.
true. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. so
Thank
much.
you so much.
for coming on. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. I hope this episode helped you all. Make sure to like and subscribe to listen to more.
See you next week.
Bye.